All right, and welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast. Boy, do I got an episode for you guys today. Hope Gutierrez is my guest. She is a great New York comic, fun lady. She works over at the Producers Comedy Club, which happens to be the old Improv. We get into that in conversation a little bit. But if you ever want to do an open mic over at she runs open mics at Producers Comedy Club over there in Manhattan, man. She was really fun. I met her at her open mic that she runs. She was just so fun and full of energy, and she told me so many stories of what in the first 10 minutes of me meeting her, I was like, I have to have you on the podcast. I have to have you on. We'll get to that in a minute. A little story of what happened when we recorded the episode, though. I did have this is the first episode I'm putting out there with where I have a sidekick. Yeah, I'm a big New York talk show host now, and I have a sidekick, and the sidekick happens to be Rex Caesar in this episode. I'm going to try out a few different sidekicks. I got Joe Fox is coming up as a sidekick on one of the episodes. So, yeah, I'm going through a little sidekick phase. I need a little Andy Richter, Ed McMahon in my life. I feel like it adds a little new dynamic to the 1000 Comics experience there. Just so you guys know, I got a show coming up here in New York, Friday the 13th at Broadway Comedy Club, 10 p.m. Check that out. C.W. Davis is hosting. So if you're in New York, the New York area, come see me at Broadway Comedy Club. It's going to be a good time. I don't have a sponsor right now for the show. So if you'd like to sponsor the podcast, hit me up. Or if you'd like to sponsor the podcast yourself, just Venmo at Thank You Masked Man. So I'm just between sponsors right now. I'm in negotiations with my old sponsor, and hopefully it'll work out. I'm always down for something new. I like getting paid to do my work here on the podcast, but without a sponsor, I'm thinking, why don't we do a daily Buddhist reflection? I have this book in this place I'm staying in. It's got a Buddhist reflection for every day, and today's reflection is: over time, a pot will fill up from just a dripping tap. Over time, a pot will fill up from just a dripping tap. Similarly, over time, good actions will fill you with great happiness. So, just be good. Do good things. Do good things. Do nice things, and it'll fill your soul. Don't you want a nice, good and filled soul? It's funny. Me and Rex and Hope, we all hung out after we recorded this podcast, and we went all the way back to Hope's place in Queens, and I had never been to Astoria, Queens in my life, and I'm like, if we see Kevin James, do we run? I'm not sure what we do. Like, I'd never been to Queens before. And then I ended up leaving my phone at Hope's place, and I didn't realize till the next day when I got back to my place. And it wasn't going to happen for us to link up that day for me to get my phone back. And I was just filled with such anxiety. I got a new phone. I got a new New York phone number. Now that's New York. You leave your phone at somebody's house in Queens over there, and then you just go get a new phone, Cost me nothing though. T-Mobile should be my sponsor, man. I'm ready to talk them up because I got a brand new phone for free. I just had to pay for the service. I got a better phone than the phone I had before. All I had to do is switch the number, and now I got a brand new phone. I only had 2 days of service on my old phone left anyways, and I just had to pay for 3 months of service. I got a brand new phone. So yeah, T-Mobile, if you want to sponsor me, go right ahead and do so. Please enjoy this interview I did with Hope Gutierrez. You're going to love it. Enjoy. Okay, welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast. I'm sitting here with my guest, Hope Gutierrez.
Yeah!
And I got a sidekick today, and it's Rex Caesar. Hey! Hey! This is the way to record. I'm telling you, Hope. I had to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. Why do you feel you had to have me?
Honestly, I went to your open mic over at Producers Comedy Club over there.
Yes, the Producers Club.
And how long have you been over there at Producers?
I've been running shows there about 5 years now. Ugh, I feel so insane to say that. I've been in New York 10 years. I don't like saying I've been doing anything for 10 years. I'm like, I'm too young for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, been over there for about 5 years now. Started out like on like an early Tuesday show, then up to a Wednesday night. Now I've worked myself up to I do 3 shows every Friday now.
3 shows every Friday, and I mean that's the way to do it. And you told me when I met you, and you know I have to say that what it said on your shirt the day I met you was exactly how you kind of you exuberate energy. It said energy across your shirt, and you're just
I got that for $2.95 on Shein. So.
You should have got it for free. You're bouncing like a neutron cell right now.
It's how I am. Like people constantly think I'm on drugs, and it's just how I am. I actually had someone when I was bartending in the Upper East Side once. Got my manager to be like, just so you know, like your bartender is, fucked out of her face.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think she might be drinking too. I saw her have like a mustache from Guinness. And he like straight up, he's like, first of all, we don't have Guinness. And he's like, and I know she sells milkshakes. But he was like, I've been signing her paychecks for 4 years. She can't afford to do that much cocaine. She's always like that. Like she's just
you're a live wire.
Always like
I'll
that.
vouch. I've never had a drug that's made my fat ass bounce as much as you. It's all natural, I can tell.
Was your first job over at the Bean?
Like the coffee bean?
Yeah.
No.
What was the? Okay, so where are you originally from?
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
A Southern lady.
Yeah, we're the 3rd biggest city. So it's like New Orleans and Baton Rouge. That's the capital, and then us. But people only really usually know us from either like True Blood or we are the original Ratchet City.
Okay.
Yeah, you heard the term Ratchet. Again, at that same place in the Upper East Side, this guy in a polo
are people
shirt.
from Louisiana are referred to as Cajuns, right?
Yeah, like Southern Louisiana. I'm from Northern Louisiana.
So what would it be a slur if I were to call you Cajun, or would it be like are you
not
Cajun?
A slur. I'm not Cajun. I mean, there's like
what's the difference between a Cajun and a person that's not Cajun that's from Louisiana though?
Well, there's like you can actually be Cajun like you're it's like
you're French,
French,
right?
yeah. It's like the French version of it.
See, I always thought that as like I'm just from Louisiana, so I'm Cajun.
Yeah, you ever watch that Gator show?
Like this.
What?
Do you watch that Gator show on History Channel?
No.
But there's something
gators?
There's something uniquely
Duck Dynasty. Or
yeah.
No.
Here's the thing that I didn't realize that it was a French thing because it's so. I feel like the Cajun accent is so uniquely American. You know what I mean?
But it's not like if you know like you're thinking of like more of like I'd
like to sell you a tractor, son.
Okay, no, that's just Southern or hick.
Yeah, merci beaucoup.
Cajun, like they'll put French words in it, and like sometimes like you can't even like there's some some regions of Southern Louisiana there's occasion like I can't understand what they're saying.
Right.
And it's
True
not,
negator.
and yeah, it's not because it's like super Southern or hick or twang or any of that. It's just it's half English, it's I don't know, like fourth English and fourth French, and then half bullshit. I'm mumbling.
Can you do a Cajun voice?
I won't.
Oh, okay. But I feel like because that hits close to home for you. Like if you.
No, that's not it.
No.
No. I feel like I fancy myself more. More of an actress than a comic for sure. I've been acting my whole life, and
How did you start acting?
my mom has her master's degree in Shakespearean theater.
Right.
So,
I think you were telling me this before, right?
Yeah.
This okay. Exactly. This is why I had to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, she likes to joke. She's like, Hope, I sent you to New York, a serious Shakespearean actress, and now you're telling dick jokes. I was like, Mom, give the people what they want, okay?
You know, you can relate to this.
My parents are Shakespearean actors as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
From
awesome.
Hartford,
Yeah.
Connecticut,
Nice.
and I'm also the disgrace of the family.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, so
Yeah, see, because my
yeah, but hold on. Did you either of your dads write 13 plays?
No.
So why do you worry about living up to that fucking Shakespeare fucking like
Who's worried?
what about 13 plays?
that's how many plays Shakespeare wrote, right?
36.
All right, 36.
Oh, English major.
Hey-oh!
Man,
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like Star Trek, where I kind of include, I kind of include two of them, you know.
Star Trek
Yeah,
is
you're
Shakespeare.
almost
in
on
20th
the side.
century.
All right, so
No, like I said, my mom mastered in it. So like I went to Shakespeare Camp as a kid.
okay, what was Shakespeare Camp like?
It was almost like Shakespeare boot camp.
Did you lose your virginity?
No, but the kids there were wild. It's the first time I ever played strip pool.
Wow.
Was Shakespeare Camp.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like worried that like there was all going to be like a bunch of like nerds like reading their sonnets and it was just like theater kids are wild, man. Like like that. Like this one time at theater camp, this one time at Shakespeare Camp.
Yeah.
So okay. It's not like it's full on sex, but it's definitely like a hand job.
No, I was also raised
a hand
around
job under a bridge after like a soliloquy.
I was also
It's
raised
what
around
she's
theater
trying to
people,
say.
and nobody talks about sex more than theater people.
But Shakespeare
Even more
talks
than
about
comedians.
like
they're
film,
obsessed.
like film school and in theater. I got my degree in theater from Duke Louisiana. I minored in psych, and then I moved to New York and went to the New York Conservatory for Film and Television.
Nice.
And I used to like the guy that I was dating while I was in film school. I would talk to him about school, and he would always be like, "It sounds like all you do in film school is like rub on each other and cry." I was like, "That's a big part of it."
I'm sorry, I just kind of want to hear about your sexual experience at Shakespeare Camp.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Like
She
I
just
always-
played strip pool.
yeah.
Very innocent for theater camp.
Yeah, I don't say for me. I always dated older guys, so it was like dating. Most likely, trying to hook up with guys at theater camp was not my.
Is that because of a Shakespeare fetish? You think like I want someone who's like 500 years old?
I think that's exactly it.
But I have a feeling like if I did Shakespeare Camp, like at what age? How old were you?
Like 15.
Okay, so I'm a teenager. I'm doing Shakespeare Camp. I'm like, all right, I'm like Pacino in The Merchant of Venice, and you're like the topless girls. Like, take one.
That's because at 15 you're a little perv. Like, yeah.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so I like
That was rude. That was
no,
rude.
no. I mean, but no, most boys at 15 are little pervs. That's not the problem.
Most boys
at all.
at 50 are little pervs.
Yeah, exactly. Point.
Yeah.
But like for me, to me it's like I've looked like this since I was 14, and I will look like this when I'm 40.
Right.
Like I have a headshot of mine that I like to show people and ask like, how old do you think I am in this picture? And I've gotten everything from you know, 12 to 30 when they're guessing, but people are guessing my age and that. And yeah, I went to go, when I was 14, I was about to start high school.
Right.
And the summer before I started high school, we drove to Texas to see the Texas Shakespeare Festival. And we were sitting on the front row, and this super cute actor who had just graduated college was in it after I started talking. And I was in a show at a college in Shreveport. I was in their summer show. So I mentioned I was in this show. He assumed I was in college and drove all the way from Kilgore, Texas to Shreveport to take me out.
So there was some romance in the air.
Can I ask a question? I don't want me to intercut on your podcast.
No, go ahead.
I've grown up around Connecticut Shakespeare, which is very blue blood, and they talk very properly. When you're in the South,
it's still that. Yeah, no.
They don't have the accents?
No, absolutely not.
I would kind of love to be
Yeah, no.
To be or not. But
definitely not.
You're like I feel like you're like Blanche Dubois in a way.
And I mean that's quite a compliment.
Everything before she went nuts.
The early days.
Her early day before she met Marlon Brando.
She depends on the kindness of strangers. What can you say?
It's that I say that line all the time. I say that line.
I'm warm here. Yeah,
it's a great line.
All the time. Well, also I the name of my first comedy special is going to be Too Cute to Be Homeless.
That's New York.
That was the name of my first comedy special. God damn it.
I make a very good gypsy.
Well, honestly, the feathers in your hair, I gotta say, are
it just looks like I fuck with birds. I don't know.
You know, I was near I don't know. Have you ever been to the Evolution store here? I fucking forget where the city it is.
I don't think
it's like. I don't know. There's like coyote skulls in there and shit, like all sorts of,
coyote skulls.
There's turtle skeletons.
Is there taxidermy in there?
Anyways, let's. I feel like I'm boring you now.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, to be we just came from a show. The people there don't know that. I gave the host my weed pen, and he didn't give it back to me, so I was like, you took my weed pen?
Oh,
well, let's get him down here. He could be on the podcast.
Yeah. Tell him to come over.
He was on stage with Kanye this week.
Was it Andrew?
Steven.
He was very funny. I like Steven.
Steven's good. I mean, I've known him for years, and he's come so far so fast, and he does stuff in a lot of different realms, not just comedy. And
yeah, he seems like a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
Anyways, but this podcast isn't about him. This podcast is about you.
Me.
And we want to talk about you. So, you also told me that the first time you ever did comedy was at the Comedy Cellar.
The first time I performed live was at the Comedy Cellar. I did not book it. It wasn't. I'm not that cool by any stretch of the imagination. My last semester of film school. We had an elective for just to choose whatever we wanted, and I originally chose dialects. I thought it would be really cool to learn different accents and dialects. However, the genius I was at 22 did not read the course description, and it was not to learn different accents and dialects. It was for our international students to lose their dialects and gain a Central American accent. I don't know if they saw us from Louisiana, assumed that sounded like a hick, and was like, shut this.
She needs this class.
But yeah, I feel like I could have aced, but I didn't need. And so a lot of the classes were full by that point. It was like a week before classes started, and one of the only things that fit with my schedule that I was half interested in was a stand-up class. And so I was like, no, fuck it. I think I'm funny. I used to do a lot of improv, so I was like, this, at least I feel like I'll get something out of this. And Rick Crom was the teacher. I originally recognized him from the Louis C.K. show.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, you're the gay dude on Louie. I had no idea he was gay in real life, and he was like, thanks for outing me in the first 5 seconds of class. Who are you? I was like, I'm nobody.
But he was more embarrassed about being on Louie right now.
And
Great show.
yeah, he's about to be in Madison Square Garden. I have a friend that might be able to give me tickets.
What are your feelings about the taking that show completely off the streaming? Like,
I think it's too bad.
You can't see it at all now.
Yeah,
I feel like if a guy tells you, hey, I'm going to jerk off on myself, and you go into the room, like...
Seems like...
Well, we're glad you feel that way.
You had to tell me before I get in the room, guys.
No. That's not what this podcast is all about.
No, we
That's
do
the
miss the
podcast
show, though.
after this one.
That really was a great show.
No. But you know what show I really like is Horace and P. I think it's at least they haven't gotten rid of that one. I think you
web series.
as a learned Shakespearean person, you would love that this is a completely innovative thing that I feel like has never been done because it's a play and a sitcom like all at the same time.
Louis' web series that takes place in a bar.
Okay.
But it plays out like a play.
Yeah.
But it's also a sitcom. It's like I've never seen anything like it.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah. And it's Louis and
What platform is it on?
and Steve Buscemi. It's on Hulu right now.
It's on Hulu.
I think it's still on Hulu.
Comedy and tragedy.
Yeah. So, all right. So take me back to Louisiana. You have any siblings?
I do.
Okay.
I'm the youngest of 4. My mom likes to refer to herself as the fat Angelina Jolie. Just because she has one of every color.
And she's fat.
And she's fat, yeah.
Can we get your mom on next week?
Oh, dude. My mom's amazing. Like, me and my mom are best friends.
Do you call her Mima because it's like...
No, that's a grandmother. No, my mom is wildly inappropriate. Like, I can't, everyone that meets my mom is like, Hope I get you now. Like,
I love that.
Yeah, my mom's the best. Like, we travel together, and a couple years ago, LSU was doing this graduates trip, and it was a medieval England tour focusing on the Plantagenet dynasty. And since my mom's a Shakespeare expert, they asked her they were stopping at Shakespeare's birthplace and all of that, and they wanted her to speak. And they said, all the rooms are double rooms, but, since you're a speaker, you get your own room, but if you don't mind sharing, your guests would only have to pay for their flight, and then they could do the stuff with us. And my mom's, would you be interested in going on a medieval England tour focusing on the Plantagenet dynasty?
Hell yeah.
To which I replied, Mom, that's my second favorite dynasty.
I feel like you're reciting your college essay for us.
What's your first favorite dynasty?
The Tudors.
The Tudors, classic.
Yeah.
They tooted all over London. They ate a lot of the magical fruit.
It was so cool. We got to go to the Battle of Bosworth, where the War of the Roses was. I got to see Richard III's bones.
Didn't they just find those recently, right?
8 years ago.
Yeah. Did you see the hunchback?
Yeah, you can see the curve in the spine and everything.
Richard III was always actually one of my favorite Shakespeare plays.
It's the best one, let's be honest.
And the reason being is because it's like, Shakespeare was the first guy to write a Batman villain, basically.
And that's the thing, is he had to write as a villain because the Tudors were in power at that point, and he was the last Plantagenet. And so he was like, I have to make the Tudors happy, so let me make the Plantagenets as villainous as possible. Which actually, other than killing the princes in the tower, he was a really good king.
And you wind up kind of sympathizing for him at the end of the play.
Killing his way to becoming king. He was good for the people.
But who didn't? That's the beauty of Shakespeare, right? You sympathize for Macbeth by the end, and he's a terrible guy.
Yeah. But I think there's something to, your deformity also being what, defines you is what, Richard III was all about.
But that's the thing, is, when you look at his bones and things, he had a curve in his back, and they said it might have probably walked with a limp or something, but the way it's described is this
Right.
grotesque,
I always pictured
The way I
him
see
I
it
always
is like-
pictured him like the little hand guy from Scary Movie 2. You know?
And that's why I've seen it. I've seen it performed quite a few times by different actors, and I like it when it's something when actors do something subtle
Maybe
with
he
it,
was
where
like
it's
one of the
just
first
a
people to
hand,
have
Right,
like
instead of overdoing it.
you
Yeah,
know,
right.
like the Hunchback of Notre Dame type shit.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah, too much.
What if he was like fucking like Two-Face and Batman? Is all I'm saying.
He's got a great origin story.
Right.
He would have made a fantastic Joker.
What?
Yes.
Richard the Third would have.
Yeah, if he could come back today. Zach, who's the guy? I don't know. Let's cut this out.
All right. So, yeah, did I ask you if you had any siblings?
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Sorry.
Did we ever
No,
even get to that?
I started talking. No, we said one of every color, and then got off topic.
Right.
Okay, so my sister's the oldest. She's white.
Okay. How many of you are there?
There's 4.
Okay, four.
Yeah, my
apologies.
sister. She's the perfect one.
Right.
She great grades, full ride to college. Never done drugs. Virgin when she got married.
Not allowed on this podcast.
Yeah, I joke on stage. I'm like, not to reveal too much about myself, but we're different,
Right.
But yeah, my sister's the perfect one, and then age-wise, next is my adopted brother, so he's black.
Okay.
So different color there. And then there's my biological brother and me.
And he's blue.
And we're both Mexican. So
I feel like your the way you describe your childhood, it was like your parents would line you up in different hats and take pictures of you holding hands so you could be on brochures. Like, were you put in the acting game like Macaulay Culkin was? Is what I'm trying to say.
I wish I would have gotten this.
Were your parents hippies?
No, so many people ask that because I am such a hippie, and then me and my sister are hope and joy, and so people assume that, but actually the opposite. My granddad was a Baptist preacher.
Really?
And so I grew up super religious. Actually, I wasn't allowed to listen to any music except for Christian music and oldies. So I latched on to oldies. I was homeschooled when I was younger.
Right.
I was like just Hanson because they were homeschooled.
Was there a specific stand-up comedian that you were into though?
As a kid,
Yeah.
I remember we used to have the Bill Cosby Why Is There Air on vinyl.
Really?
I remember listening to that as a kid.
And
From
it's-
the
and
South,
it's so
I was a lot of
strange.
Jeff Foxworthy as a kid.
Oh, okay. It's so strange though how it's like one of the few comedians that you're like, your parents were probably like, the kids can listen to this one.
Yeah.
And then
Well, they didn't know he was drugging bitches.
Who did? Just the
Yeah,
bitches.
back then it was just the bitches.
They're the only ones that knew.
What do you make of him coming back and doing stand-up? That's what I'm reading in the news, that he's trying to do stand-up now.
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah. Some of Bill Cosby's stand-up is some of the funniest shit I've ever seen, though. Can I just be honest about that?
Sure.
Like, it's like, do we
And that's what
have
makes
to
what he
deny
did
that
such
to
a
ourselves that
tragedy,
he had
you
great
know?
Right.
bits?
Yeah.
It adds. No, she's right. It adds to the tragedy because you don't get that famous by being a hack. You know?
Yeah,
You were-
exactly, yeah. And it's when it's someone that's that incredible and something tragic happens, and this is something he brought on himself, but it changed, a generation, especially.
Multiple generations.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, having black people in my family and things that, it's like that, looking up, that was the ultimate dad.
But
And
I
then
feel like a lot of people showed their family The Cosby Show because they're like, these are educated people. This is how...
Yeah,
this
is normal for some, that, it's just to show, how the other side lives doesn't mean the other color. It's, it's just, depends on your life and how you live it,
You know what's funny
you just
though?
lived it differently behind doors.
There's this bit that Cosby did that my brother-in-law showed me recently, and my brother-in-law's name is Jeff, and
My brother-in-law's name is Jeff.
my nephew's name is Jeffrey, like father and son, both Jeffrey.
My dad's name is Jeff.
Now,
Wow.
okay, so there's this bit that Cosby does about like this little kid that's acting like a piece of shit on a plane,
Okay.
and the mother's just like, Jeffrey, 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 just like blue in the face, like freaking out over this kid named Jeffrey. And the funny thing is, like, that's how like my nephew is to my sister, like just constantly chasing him around like Jeffrey, Jeffrey, Jeffrey.
And then Bill was
You know,
like,
like-
I made him a bottle. He should be asleep in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You want to take it there, bro? No. That is not how the bit ends. Now I feel like I was telling this wholesome story. Dude,
But that was funny.
find your inner Annie, Rick. Did you know this
I'm
guy?
not a good host. I'm not a good sidekick.
All right.
I like it.
Thank you.
All right. So, your teenage years. Tell me about it, because you're listening to Cosby at what? Who are you into as a teenager?
I thought I was actually a really good kid. I did a lot of theater, and so when I was in middle school, I did everything. I went to like a shitty private school, so like I was like on the track team. I played basketball, played softball. Which I'm terrible at basketball, but
Right.
like
I believe you had the
But
energy
but
to
once
do it all,
again,
though.
there you are. It probably says energy on your shirt, and you're just there, and you're ready to
Yeah,
go.
I was a cheerleader. That I had the energy for.
Yeah.
But again, like I just did everything in middle school,
Yeah.
and then in high school, I went from going to a private school that it was kindergarten through 12th grade, and it was like 300 students, the whole thing. So it was a tiny school. My granddad was the headmaster. My mom was the English and drama teacher.
Really?
And then in high school, I went to Magnet, which was the number one.
I don't know why I feel
academic
like
and
this
art
school is giving me like a Dead Poet Society kind of vibe. The way you say headmaster.
It was University Christian Preparatory School.
So it was like the.
We
Was
had
Robin? Did
uniforms
Robin
and
Williams
everything,
teach
yeah.
there? Did he
My
get up
mom
on
was the
desk?
Robin Williams of the school.
Your mom was the Robin Williams of the school.
Yeah.
I feel like you honestly believe that.
I do.
I'm sure it's true.
And okay, well, so for example, how I ended up with my adopted brother was through that school.
Yeah.
Like I said, they were shitty at sports, and so they for our football team, they ended up like going like offering some guys from like an East Texas school
Right.
a scholarship to come, because it was a private school, so they were like, we'll do your tuition. And then they still sucked, and they're like, oh, well, maybe we'll only give you tuition for football season. After they didn't win, and so I was like, okay, it's our first season, duh, it's not going to be a fucking winning season. And so a lot of the kids, couldn't afford the second semester, had to go back. And my mom was John's English teacher, and she read his journals, and she's like, "There's something special about this kid." And at the time, he was a super angry kid. Like nobody ever seemed to smile, and I think a lot of people were scared of him,
Right.
And but she just knew there was something about him, and so
Your mom reminds me more of like the woman from like Freedom Writers.
And on stage, I joked that, I was like, if you ever seen The Blind Side, that was us. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, you're good at football? We'll keep that one. Which definitely cheapens the story. But, yeah, she was like, my kids go here for free. And, his home life was not a desirable one. So she just said, would you want to come and live with us? And then he did, and... I think it was like 2 years later we made it official, but
That's great.
yeah.
Great story.
She walked him down the aisle, and it was.
Huh. That's great.
Or not,
Sounds like a
not
great
him down the
woman.
aisle. Her, yeah, at the wedding. Never mind. Not He didn't watch on the Outboy, so I'm doing
No,
that.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Huh. So, when do you come to New York City?
I moved to New York a week after I turned 21.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, okay. Give me an idea of the year that you're 21. This is kind of what I want to hear.
Well, right before I moved up, I'd gotten my theater degree, and I knew I wanted to go to film school. There had been this big movie boom in Shreveport. There was this big tax break in Louisiana. It was all supposed to be done in New Orleans, then Katrina hit, so it all moved to Shreveport, where I was from. So as this little theater kid, all of a sudden, all these major motion pictures are being done in my hometown.
Wow.
And at first I was like, you film actors and your take twos. And then I was like, how much do you get paid? And I was like, maybe I should do film. So I was, I definitely was like New York, LA. New York still had the theater aspect of it, so I definitely wanted, to come to New York, and then got into NYCDA. Then right before I knew I was going to start in the fall, but I wanted to come up here early and get a job and find a place and get settled before.
Okay.
Because I did the math and I was like, it's cheaper to not live in the dorms,
Right.
So then I ended up getting this movie in New Orleans right before I was supposed to come up. It was a terrible movie. Amazing cast. It was Christopher Walken, Christian Slater, Anthony Andrews.
What movie is
Juvenile.
it?
I got to hang out with Juvie's wife for a whole day.
Wow.
Jesse Bradford, Nikki Whelan, the chick from the live Pocahontas. Like I said, it was a great cast, and
This must have been an experience for you.
yeah, it was. I was originally supposed to be the stand-in for the chick from Pocahontas.
Okay.
And then about a week into shooting.
Is that the feathers? Is that why you do that?
Yes. About a week into shooting, one of the stunts girls didn't show up for Nikki Whelan. And I had just done a movie in Shreveport with the same assistant director, and he was like, Hope, you don't scare easy, right? And he was like, look, it's two super easy stunts, but you get a major pay bump for it,
Oh yeah.
And so I had to fall off a balcony onto this big cushy thing,
Okay.
and then I had to be the passenger in a car chase. So it was
Really?
still a person.
This
And
seems
the
like
guy had done
a decent
Fast and the Furious,
Hollywood
and I was-
experience, though. This
it
is
was cool.
that's
Yeah.
a lot of
Film
that's a lot of
experience,
stuff an actor wants to do on film, right?
Yeah, it was definitely.
You have to
an
touch multiple
experience.
parts of the production.
See, my dreams don't extend that far. I just want to be a guy on camera just talking to another guy, basically, or the guy that gets the girl. I don't know. I have a very simple mind towards all that.
But you said on camera. Wait, do you want to act?
I don't know. Maybe I don't really. I never really saw myself as an actor. Just as a stand-up comic, and I don't know if acting experiences ever came and found me.
Right on.
I would say yes to them, but it's not something I really actively pursue.
Right on. And for me, I said that acting. The way I refer to it now is acting is still the love of my life.
Right.
And comedy has become my sexy little mistress.
Mhm.
I spend all my time with her. She keeps me up late at night.
Mm.
But acting is still the love of my life.
Yeah.
But this is fun.
Are you still doing a lot of acting?
I'm hopefully I'm producing a play in the spring. I just got the script in yesterday, actually, so I'm gonna go back through it and kind of actually see. I've already checked out getting the rights to it and stuff, but actually figuring out how much it would cost, and the biggest thing is finding the right director. So
Right.
trying to do that on a to be announced budget is interesting, but we'll see. I think right now is the time to do it. So many people want to work coming out of the pandemic and stuff. So
Right.
And people want to go out too.
see, me and Rex over here, we're both Connecticut comics, so the pandemic didn't affect us as hard as like it did people here in the city. Even though people from Connecticut still bitch about it.
I still bitch about it. We lost
But-
like 75% of our mics. What are you talking about?
yeah, but obviously it was
I
worse
never did
here. How can you tell me about like I know I'm jumping way ahead here, and but you know,
We're going chronologically.
it doesn't have to be a chronological thing. I don't know. We're like
That's cool.
we're like in the multiverse in the Thousand Comics podcast. We're one time period now, or in the future later.
Everything happens all at once. That's what it is.
Anyways, I don't know.
Timekeepers.
Very
How did the pandemic affect your entertainment career?
It completely halted it.
Yeah.
You know, I
What would you do to keep busy though? What'd you do to keep
well,
creating?
So
is what I
it came at 2 times. Like in January 2020, I turned 30. I was supposed to film my first.
I'm
half
turning 30 this month.
Well, happy early birthday.
Thank you. This is what this whole New York venture is all about. Like, I didn't want to be turning 30 at home in Connecticut and be like, I'm only interviewing Connecticut comics on my podcast. I gotta get out there. I gotta be in New York.
It's funny.
Hit the streets.
It's funny you say that.
You know.
It's funny you say that because so I turned 30 in January. I was supposed to film my first half-hour special on April 4th.
Really?
And then March, the world shut down. So
my
by
God.
April, I was my mom. After a week of things being shut down, my mom. I'll pay for your ticket. Just come spend time with your family. How long? How often do you get this opportunity to spend time with your family?
Mm.
And so, yeah,
Did you do it? You
yeah.
went back down?
I went. I spent the summer down there. She wanted me to stay longer, but I was like, "It's an election year. I'm gonna explode. I can't be down here."
Wow.
Amen.
But yeah, I spent the summer down there. Ended up with my dog.
But I may be naive. Your family's mostly conservative, while you're kind of liberal.
Me and my brother. My brother is a musician in LA. We're both super liberal, and then, I'm liberal. He's super liberal.
Right.
And then my family is pretty conservative.
That is the New York versus LA, is liberal versus super liberal. That defines it perfectly.
But I don't know. It's weird. It's like I feel like my parents were like, I don't know. They acted conservative, but like they talked like liberals almost. I don't know. You know what I mean?
No.
I feel like my parents. There's a reason why I've never voted before.
When you've never voted, I don't vote for everything, but you gotta at least vote for president.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Let's get off of politics.
Yes, please.
For a minute.
No. Let's dive in.
Let's move on.
Matt, why don't you share with Hope your ancient opinion on abortion?
Because I actually am interested in Hope. Seems like she
Matt does
grew
not
up.
believe in women's rights.
You grew up strictly
Oh,
religious because your grandfather was a headmaster. You said, right?
Well, he's a Baptist preacher.
So you grew up kind of religious. How do you feel about things now? Like, where do you fall in what you believe?
I personally am not very religious. I consider myself spiritual.
Right.
I think there is definitely something bigger than you and I. I think there's something that connects us all, whether you want to call it God or Jesus or Buddha or Allah or Mother Nature or the universe. Whatever you want to call it, I think there's something bigger. But I think the Bible was written by men and it has mistakes in it. I think most major religion all has the same point, to be a good fucking person. And I don't think me saying fucking is going to put me in a different place after I die.
That's all you need.
Okay, I
Don't be
dig
a
it.
douchebag.
Yeah, don't be an asshole.
Well, it's like I like how you went broad, where it's like whether you believe this, you cover everything, or it's just like it all comes down to just being a good person. And I
Don't
think,
be a son of a bitch.
I think I would agree with that. Do you feel like that speaks to you as a comedian? Do you just try? I feel like you just put like positive energy out there. Like I don't know. I see you over at Producers. I saw it over there at Joey Bats. It's just like you're just kind of like booming with positive energy.
I try to be, and you put good out, you get good back. I'm a firm believer in good vibes, and just putting good into the world. I lost a friend recently to a car accident, and it.
My God, I recently just lost a friend to a car
I'm
accident.
very sorry to hear.
I'm sorry to hear about your loss.
And but again, just different things surrounding it. I was talking to my mom, and she told me this quote, and it was said, in life, don't strive for success, strive for significance.
Don't strive for success. Strive for significance. Those are very
and
noble words. Where do you think that comes from? Do you think that comes from the Bible?
And no, I remember she told me where where it came from. I don't remember what it is now. It wasn't.
Right.
It was not the Bible.
Wait, you know something? Me and Rex, when we were on our way out here, I was trying to clean up because I was like, I'm having a lady over for the podcast. I need to clean up a little bit. So I did.
It was
A
disgusting
nice
in
southern lady.
And
A Southern Belle.
A Southern Belle, Miss Dubois. And I found this piece of debris a piece of debris on the ground. Where I have no idea where this came from because
It came from a fortune cookie. Where do you think?
But I never had any Chinese food in the time that I've been in this apartment.
Oh my gosh.
So I found this, and it was on the ground. So I don't know.
And you just stuck to your shoe.
So, but I couldn't figure out what one of the words meant. I was an English teacher, but one of your parents was an English teacher, so you could probably figure this out for me.
Okay.
You are a filial, kind and trustworthy. Filial. I have no idea what this means.
I have no idea.
Mr. Sidekick, could you look this up?
I
for
actually
us?
already did.
You
Hey!
already did. Now
At
that's
Hope
a sidekick, right?
It is done, and I shall read the definition of or due from a son or daughter. For example, a display of filial affection.
You are.
Wait. I still don't understand what that means.
I think it means that you are devoted,
Okay.
and dutiful,
Okay.
loyal,
Okay.
faithful. I'm reading the synonyms off.
Yeah,
Okay.
it says kind and trustworthy.
So
Yeah.
it's
I'm not
a
that
synonym
intelligent.
for the other words that were before it on the fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you all right there?
Yeah, I did a stretch. I had back surgery when I was 16.
Okay.
And
Why'd you have to get back surgery at that age?
Let's talk about that.
I had a bulging disc, and it
Okay.
ruptured, and so I have no disc in between my L4 and my L5.
So really, that's
got a bulging
the
disc.
explanation of why you move around the way you do, because your back is uncomfortable most of the time.
That is a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily just the constant, my friends call it the Hope Shuffle. I remember one time we were in the line to get into some bar or something, and I'm just standing there talking to my friend, telling her story, and the guy's I'm sorry, do you need to move ahead? Do you need to pee? And my friend's no, she just does that. She's just like that.
He was like,
Yeah.
no tweakers.
Oh, come on. So, I feel like you have more acting stories than you.
I have tons of acting stories.
Let's hear 'em.
What's Christopher Walken like?
I only was in the hair and makeup with him. I got to talk to him very briefly. I didn't really get to actually spend time with him. Christopher Walken, I got to spend like 20 minutes in a fake cab with, and he was cool as shit. He was super nice, and he had like a bunch of holes in his ears, so you could tell he had piercings in his ears.
No
And I was
shit.
like, I started like fucking with him a little bit about it, like joking. I forgot that he was like had a mic on, and I was like, oh, did you do that in the 80s? Like, he was so cool, like laughing about it and whatever. But when I got out, they were like, Hope, what the fuck are you doing? You don't talk to him like that.
You know something? I'm glad you are one of my first New York guests because I love your like I don't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like that's like a part of like that's like a part of like the New York
looks
spirit,
weirder
right?
with my hair
It's
out.
like you don't give a fuck, you know, right?
You're in.
I feel like it's more like
You
a
look
pet.
like Pocahontas' understudy, kind of.
I was her stand-up.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
So how'd you end up at a Producers Comedy Club then?
So I did the show at the Cellar. That was my first show.
Right.
I took a class. I spent 8 weeks working on a 5-minute set with
Right.
a professional. Trying to figure out how many laughs per minute and whittling it down. And first show, amazing audience, one of the best venues in the city.
Right.
It's sold out.
But
to my
it's
friends.
what you told me
Super
true.
supportive.
It was the old improv.
And the Producers Club was, yeah.
Right.
And so, but I was saying, like, with the class, I did the show at the Cellar, and the next night I did Village Underground, which again, amazing, audience sold out. And then I graduated and I had to do what real comics do and go to open mics where, if there is real audience, they're either usually
So
like
have you never
shit-faced.
been on the Cellar stage again since then?
And yeah, one time, but it was another showcase. It wasn't like booked through the Cellar,
Right.
But it wasn't booked through a class. I did like book the showcase. I had to
Right.
sit in a tape for it, but
stage time there is stage time there, like.
and yes, and
I feel
no.
like you're downplaying what you've done in your career. I think.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I feel like I definitely got a big boost when I hit 30 of going, okay, now it's time to, like, the 20s were fun. I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of cool people.
Yep.
From what I can remember, I had a blast.
Yep.
Not everybody can say they've done comedy on stage at the Cellar. It's just.
Yeah.
It's an exclusive club of people. So
Yeah, and if I got past there,
Yeah.
I would
So,
be like,
that's the whole
yeah,
thing.
motherfuckers.
You've never been past at the
yeah,
Cellar.
well, yeah, very few people have,
Yeah.
getting past it, a club.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but I've never gone to try to get past it in any clubs, honestly.
Why not?
It does change, like, pay raise and stuff, but I just kind of went a different route with it. So after I put down comedy and was like, comedy sucks, this is hard, after graduating, I took maybe like a little over 2 years off of it, and it was when the whole Me Too thing blew up.
Right.
A friend of mine was doing an all-female show at the Producers Club. And I'd been there for theater stuff before in auditions, but I had never, seen a comedy show there. And I said in the video, which at the time the only video was my video from the Cellar.
Okay.
So I got on the show and did the show. Like an idiot, I wrote like all new material, forgot half of it. I thought I bombed. And then that night, I had a guy come up to me and want to manage my comedy career.
Okay.
No.
How did that go for you?
I mean, it was a nice little ego boost, and he's a really cool guy. I still freelance with him.
He actually
contact.
Okay.
I wouldn't sign.
I don't know the way you set up the story. It sounded like
I wouldn't sign a contract with him.
Oh, all right, there you go. Then.
He gave me one, and I laughed at it, and I.
So can I use this on stage?
But no, but you
Well, I mean, yeah, he wanted 15% of everything I book, and I was like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
You can get 10% of what you
Yeah.
book me.
Right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
anything I book myself, you can fuck off and all.
Right.
So he turned out to be a good business partner.
And I mean, like I said, we still collaborate on certain things, and we still constantly, I still call him on occasion. But yeah, there's no.
Was Me Too positive for female comics? You think?
I think so.
It's almost like the pandemic might have canceled out the positive stuff it did in a way because
it canceled out everybody.
But it's like I felt like the Me Too movement maybe were like empowered women to come out and do comedy, and then it's like the pandemic happens, which is like a complete pushback of like anybody.
Well, no, that's a pushback of everybody.
You know?
Yeah, but I mean, I know quite a few people that only because they had time during the pandemic started writing and then started with Zoom mics and then have come out
That's a good point.
swinging now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's people that
there was
showed up
something-
to my mic and I'm like, oh man, like, and then they say something, they just started doing comedy. I'm like, wait, what? You started on Zoom? You've only been doing this 6 months? Like, damn.
Yeah,
And they're like,
don't
yeah,
you-
because I sat home and I did 12 mics a day in my underwear,
No,
for the last year.
Were you into the whole Zoom thing?
No.
I can't. You're too much of a free spirit for the Zoom.
Well, I did a couple of things. I hosted a really cool 6-week comedy competition for this radio station in Colorado through Zoom, which was actually really fun because I hadn't done any of the Zoom stuff at that point. It was last summer, and so it was like.
But you're the one running. The thing.
I was
there's a
hosting, and
Yeah.
it was cool. It was for charity, and then whichever comic won got $1,000 worth of Colorado shit from the radio station.
Okay.
Like liquor and CDs and T-shirts.
This is actually the one of the most positive things I've heard done over the internet through Zoom. I feel like most Zoom stuff is depressing and dog shit. To be honest with you.
Most of it. But I did a couple of fun things with it, but all in all, and it's weird that the few that I did just mics and random shows and stuff, there's a couple jokes I wrote over the pandemic that murdered in Zoom rooms, and I felt so confident.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about
with the live audience.
It just
right.
has not hit with the live audience.
Right.
But even with the live Zoom audience, it was great. And people would come after a show, be like, "Yo, fat joke."
Yeah.
And then I tried it 10 times live, and I'm like,
when you were doing Zoom with other New York comics, did you get a lot of non-comic audience?
It depended on the show. It depends on which show.
Because I know for us, I didn't really do any of the Zooms, but I know a lot of it was just
the only
comics in the
The
chat
only Zoom
room,
show I ever did was for Randy Young, and I was like, if it's good enough for Randy Young,
I'd do anything for Randy Young.
Yeah, he's too cool. He's like the coolest black black dude you ever met. So it's like when a dude like that because he's, I don't know, I feel like because he's a black dude that acts Italian. That's how you know it's a fucking cool black dude. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your material.
Okay.
I don't know. One of the jokes you did tonight was the California sober. I've only heard that before from one other comic, and she was a New York comic for a while. Talk about California sober was Rebecca Rush. Do you know her?
I don't think I do.
No. I don't know. What's the deal with that? Is that a real thing that you tried to do?
It's a real term. I just kind of just now blowing up because Demi Lovato made a song called California Sober.
Right.
And it's basically a lot of people say, when you're sober, it's nothing,
Right.
And where it's okay, well, I would need to stop drinking, but weed is a different thing for me. So it's instead, it's you're not sober, you're California sober.
All right.
So it's really just weed, and then for the humor, I tacked on the plant matter and the shrooms and then the Adderall because I prescribed it, and then the Xanax because it makes me anxious. That's all for humor. But the California
I mean, it
sober,
is funny.
It is.
the California sober, it's just supposed to be, you know, you don't drink or do drugs, but you smoke weed because it's legal.
Right.
Didn't you tell
And
me
it's a plant.
something at Producers about like traveling somewhere on a bus?
I lived on a school bus once, yeah.
Okay, could you tell us about this? This is what I want to hear about.
It was a great experience. A friend of mine had a grandfather clock and a grand piano that his father wanted to give to him. He lived in Queens, he lived in Louisiana, and shipping it weight-wise was like something stupid expensive. And he did the math, and apparently it was cheaper to buy an old school bus, fix it up, and take an epic road trip. And I didn't know any of this was happening. He just messaged me and was asking. He asked, you know, he's like, "Hey, you still in New York? Where are you working?" So he's like, "I'm going to come by and see you." And all of a sudden, like 9 hippies come crashing into my bar, and they were amazing, beautiful people. And
they were like 9, 10. It was like a clown car fucking unloading.
It was like a school bus unloading.
It was amazing.
All for the
Honestly,
sake of a grandfather clock.
When you told me this story at Producers, all I could think of was there was an episode of Happy Days where a school bus of beatniks comes to pick up Richie, and Fonzie's like, "You're not going with them beatniks." So you go with the hippies. And what was this experience like?
It was amazing actually. Like especially after being in New York for a while. Like I am a very free spirit hippie soul, but you know New York tends to beat some of that out of you, you know. And with this group, I was the person being like,
you know,
come on guys, let's hurry it up. You know,
me and Rex went to Strawberry Fields today.
Ooh,
maybe
touristy of you.
But I feel like, see, that you say touristy, but I feel like that's where you need to go to recharge the hippie batteries.
Yeah.
You listen to some Beatles music for a while, and you know,
Beatles lyrics
you know,
tattooed
it makes you not
you?
mind so much that you
Which
sat
ones?
on piss in the subway. You know what I mean?
All you need is love.
No way.
There you go.
Wait, let me see. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna take a dump on Strawberry
I
Fields.
paid $30 in weed for that. On a hippie butt. I'm just kidding.
Tattooed by a grandfather clock.
Yeah.
At what age do you think you got that tattoo?
I got that when I was 19.
And then the hippie bus was what age?
Oh, that was like 25 or 6.
All right. So what else happened on this hippie bus?
I have I am the walrus tattooed on my ass.
Picture the
Goo 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 choose.
You know,
two
podcasts ago, I had a guy that has a. Do you know Austin Apostle has a tattoo of the yellow submarine?
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead on with the school bus story.
Oh, I was just gonna say with the tattoo.
It was the Magical Mystery Tour, and they were coming to take you away. And Ringo's aunt was on the bus for some reason. You remember Ringo's aunt was on the bus in that
What was
movie?
the movie with the Beatles across the universe? They were on a
I
school bus.
love that
Okay,
movie.
I really
School bus,
want her to finish the story. I'm sorry.
Well, actually, I'm
What's
still going to
up?
side with the tattoo. So I always said I was going to get a Beatles quote and a Shakespeare quote tattooed on me because that was like the biggest. Like,
You have a Shakespeare quote as well?
Mhm.
Which one? To thine own self be true. I have a Shakespeare tattoo, actually. Check it out. I got all the world's a stage.
I almost did it, but I felt like I was like, that's every girl has
When,
that tattoo.
Oh.
No, actually. No, well, the other one, my mom was like, you should be good, though she be little, she be fierce. And I was like, that's the one every little theater girl has.
Yeah.
And so, and with this one, I did, there's like controversy over it because, it's the wrong character that says it. So it's like, all right, but it's like, because the whole quote is, to thine own be self be true, and it may come to pass as the night and the day that thou canst not then be false to any man.
Mm.
And I was like, that's wordy.
That's a lot of pain.
Well, then my friend was like,
Oh,
actually,
my
he's like,
God.
for your beautiful quote, you should just get all of, like, the benefits to Mr. Kite on your bag.
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
god.
my Shakespeare quote is,
Wait, hold up.
is liver of the blaspheming Jew from Macbeth.
All right. I feel like you're going to go into Cat's Deli tomorrow. You're going to be like, give me a pound of flesh.
Liverwurst.
Kosher flesh.
Double.
Anyways, are we going to hear about the story of you on the bus, or?
I mean, there's a ton of stories on the bus. I mean, you aren't like mushroom tea stories. You're not getting the threesome stories.
Let's turn off the mic.
Turn off the mic.
Turn off the mic.
No, as long as you allude to it, I think that's enough. I feel like the listener. You've satisfied the listener. That's all I got.
I think he said
Both of
listener. Yeah, he said listener. He said singular. Yeah, we went skinny dipping in the Niagara River, which actually has a really high current. I was like, guys, this is dangerous. It's fine. I'm a good swimmer. I'm a great swimmer. Actually, the first time I was ever in the newspaper, it was for being the youngest person in the state of Louisiana to ever swim a half a mile without stopping. I was 4 years old.
Wow, I don't know. I gotta pound your fist.
I know,
for
and
I
something
couldn't
like
even
that.
swim when I was 4.
So half a
And
mile?
I didn't realize that until I just started babysitting a 5-year-old, and I was like, man, I was awesome.
Yeah,
Were you wearing a life preserver, though?
No.
Oh, dude, that's fucking impressive.
That's really. So you're like one of those freaky babies on Facebook that swims in the pool when they're like.
Yeah,
I
but
swim like a
the
mermaid.
ball of energy she is, I can kind of see her. You can just put her in the water. She's like one of those little boats that you wind up. You know what I mean?
Parted the
Actually, I had
seas.
just made the age cut to do the quarter mile, and my brother, who's 2 years older, was doing the half mile.
Mhm.
And I wanted to swim next to him, so like just let him go, you know.
Oh
take
my
time,
god,
whatever.
that's so sweet.
Oh man, my brother was my hero growing up. Like
Oh.
everything he did, I wanted to do.
Sure.
That's the only reason I started smoking weed. I mean, true but funny. Yeah. So he finishes obviously fast night, but I had kept going past my quarter mile, and I just kept going with him.
Right.
And so he finished his half mile, and I still had like 5 laps to go. But for the half mile, but I'd already passed the quarter mile, and they didn't tell me. But they were like, "Yo, she's gonna break records. Like, just let her keep going."
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I was like exhausted, like just like doggy paddling, crying. I was like, "I'm tired."
Oh
and they're
my
just
god.
Like, one more lap, one more lap, and I finally I get out.
Wait, but now I'm starting to think. It's like, did you do this on your own, or did your parents force you to do this?
Like I said, I was supposed to do the quarter.
Because in a
And
way,
then I
it's like
finished
just
the
let her go.
quarter.
sending you on this venture. It's like once you're halfway, you have no choice but to make it the other.
Hope.
And,
Hope.
okay, halfway
you know what I
was
mean?
what I was supposed to already do. I had done the halfway, which is the quarter.
Yeah.
That's what I was supposed to do, and I just kept going without them telling me. And then I
but
only had,
what happens if you decide to just stop and sink like a stone? Like,
Well, they can
is
encourage her.
someone gonna get you?
Yeah, they
Okay.
usually don't let children die.
Yeah.
I'm having a tough time picturing the scene. Are they in like a boat next to you, or?
I think it was in a
Yeah.
pool, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
it's
a
on a
swim
pool.
team.
Okay.
Swim
Hope,
team.
I need to
yeah.
say, and I mean this with all due respect.
I thought
This is a comedy
See,
podcast.
I'm sorry, it's Louisiana. I thought you were swimming half a mile like across a river.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
In the
crossing
bayou.
border, fuckface.
With gators and snakes. No, I gotta say, this is a comedy podcast, and the least interesting thing about you is your comedy. I mean that with all due respect. You're swimming half miles at 4 years old, going to Shakespeare Camp, playing a strip pool. This has been the most interesting time in the comics podcast.
So the last thing about I finished it. I'm exhausted, and my mom was like, "Oh my god, you did it! You swam a half a mile." Da, da, da. And I was like, "Wait, I was only supposed to do a quarter." And she was like, "Yeah, but you did half." And I was like, "You lied to me!" I was so exhausted, and like tired. I was like upset. I was like, I could have been done 8 laps ago. Like, and then my mom goes, "But you're going to be in the paper." I was like, "What?" What? Okay. I guess it was worth it.
I'll pull it together.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
And you got that.
I wish the audience could have just seen you right there.
And you got that
Great
paper
acting
still,
moment.
right? Or your mom
Yeah,
does, right?
I'm
great.
sure my mom does.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right. Well, before we wrap it up and stop the recording, is there anything you want to promote or put out there? Instagram handle, social media, shows coming up?
Yes, all of that. Okay.
Okay.
So Instagram, Hurricane Hope NYC. Twitter, Hurricane Hope NY, because they don't let you. That's as far many letters as they have. Everything else is NYC, and then Twitter, it's like one letter too short. They're like, that's too long of a name. I'm like, fuck you, Twitter. So that's why I don't use Twitter. I'm kidding, I have one. I really don't use it though. But one thing I will ask your listener. So I've been submitting to some comedy festivals, and they asked for all of your social stuff, and I was like, "What is my Twitter handle? Or not Twitter, YouTube." And I was like, "Man, I mean, I made it forever ago, you know."
Yeah.
And I look, and it is Elizabeth Hope for you, which Elizabeth is my first name. I go by Hope, my middle name.
Right.
Which is when I'm like, oh man, people, nah. It's like, and I haven't used it in so long. Like, I never really used it. There's a brief time in college where I was like, because I hate the way that people always mispronounce my last name.
Right.
And so I was like, I'll just go by Elizabeth Hope. And that's why in Latin comedy I go by Hope G. But now I'm like, I don't want people to know my government name. So, but yeah, so I want to change my YouTube to Hurricane Hope NYC, like everything else is.
You want me to put this out there as Hurricane Hope? When I put all your name,
yeah, I know I mean, I've been doing that halfway. So it's like, I mean, when I started doing comedy, I started doing it as Hope G.
Okay.
And
I think maybe I'll just leave it that. Hope G.
And then,
okay.
but then now, like, because of wokeness and everything, like, all these other producers.
You gotta own it.
All these other producers are like, Hope, I'm putting your last name on there. You're
Hell
a
yeah.
girl and a diversity.
Hell
like,
yeah.
I'm putting you on the flyer.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wow, you're kind of using me. I don't care. At all. But I'm like, okay, so, like, that's the last name. But then it's kind of, like, a lot of people just because of, like, Hurricane Hope was a nickname before it was, like, my YouTube shit, or my Instagram shit.
Right.
So, I in certain posters, you know, you'll see Hurricane Hope instead of Hope G or Hope Gutierrez. But
now they're getting all your names. It's like when Mick Foley does an interview.
But yeah, I want to change my YouTube to Hurricane Hope, and apparently now you need 100 subscribers to change your name on YouTube. I found this out 3 days ago. That you have to have 100 subscribers to
All right,
customize.
Listen, both you 1,000 Comics podcast subscribers. Make 50 accounts each.
Yeah, follow me at Elizabeth Hope for you, so I can change it to Hurricane Hope NYC.
All right.
Okay.
We're there.
I'm in.
Yep.
Hope.
We're 2%
are
there.
you're just a treat, I have to say.
Well, thank you. I have a bunch of other stuff coming up this year. I'm writing I'm writing a bunch of sketches with another comic who is like good at the social media stuff. He's got like millions of views on stuff, and so I was like, great, let me piggyback off you, homie. So we're writing a bunch of sketches together. I'm writing a web series with a writer that writes a novel. I'm working on a film script with the birthday boy from tonight. And
that's Mike. What's Mike's last name?
Michael O'Rourke.
He was great. He
absolutely
headlined tonight over at Joey
hilarious.
Bat's. Very funny.
He's
Very funny
absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
We've done tons of shows together. The first time I went on tour, I was running Wednesday nights at the Producers Club, and they were like, you have to get somebody to cover, while you're gone. And they suggested somebody else.
You were telling me that Mike was the guy that covered for you.
And I just met Mike like 2 weeks before at his show in Astoria, and they wanted me to get some other person that was like super green. I was like, no, if I'm going to leave, I want somebody who has like more experience than I do taking care of it. I was like, this guy's from New York, like he runs a really good show here. I know he can host, I know he can run. And then, he became my co-host like 2 weeks later, and yeah, we've been tight ever since. He moved to Colorado, like, ended up getting the venue to, like, pay to fly me out, and, yeah, I got to get paid to do comedy out there. It was fun, yeah. But that was last year, but, yeah, he kind of knew I was in Chicago. But, yeah, it's been, yeah, he's a great comic. We're working on a script together. And then, yeah, I'm going to be producing, hopefully in the spring, a play called Gruesome Playground Injuries.
Ooh. Sounds interesting.
It's a 2-person play. I consider it like a dramedy. You laugh, but I definitely, when I saw it at the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, Scotland, a few years ago. I think it was in like a dentist's office basement. They make everything a theater there. It's incredible. But yeah, like I definitely laughed and cried. Like her ending monologue.
Like dentists are always seem to be people that wish they could have been comedians.
Well, especially Scottish dentists. They're known for that.
I don't know if I trust a Scottish dentist.
I don't trust any dentist from the UK.
Is it alright? Is it alright if we end on that? I feel I feel like our unanimous distrust of Scottish dentists should end this podcast
with the UK dentists in general.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. This was different than any other podcast I've done.
Wow,
so,
really? Well, yeah. That's great.
I felt like the
She's
bell
like,
of
I've
the
never
ball.
done a podcast with 2 white guys and a microphone.
You think it would be the most average kind of podcast?
I've done many podcasts with 2 white guys and a microphone.
Yeah.
Actually, I've done many podcasts with 2 white guys and a microphone.
That's what I'm thinking.
But I've every other time I've done it, I've like jumped on and like, you know, there's been like, you know, a theme or something else. Like it's never been like I'm the theme. I feel very social.
Oh no, I have a very interview based style.
I like that. I love that. I mean, like I said, I felt very cool. A lot of times it's just like, okay, we have a topic and we talk about it and we run with it, or like my ex used to have a podcast, and this was before I even started doing comedy.
Ooh.
And so he did, and this is like before anyone did comedy. This was like probably like 8 or 9 years ago. So it was like podcasts really weren't like, they were still on SoundCloud, and like it wasn't a big thing or whatever. But yeah, they did it for a while, and I would just do. I would do like sports. That was my thing. So every week I would do the sports update.
Like a Who's Line sketch.
And well, not like they had like news and sports, and then they would always have a guest. Whether they usually have.
You seem like such a dynamic sports announcer.
They usually have yeah. Well, see, I love football. Like football, like you know,
Saints.
Absolutely.
Oh my God!
I'm so excited and nervous.
All right, now I really am gonna end it. But who's your baseball team?
I'm from Louisiana, so the Yankees.
All right, there we go. Hey! Oh! Thank you so much for listening to the 1000 Comics Podcast.